if y'all feel that about that song the same way I do, but that song caught me when I was in the middle of something. And them words had to keep me somewhere and keep me grounded because I want to tell y'all, rain came. Yeah. Rain showed up at my front door, and it wasn't a Vegas rain. You know, Vegas rain, we only rain for about the half of the day. It was a Hurricane Katrina type rain, Latanya, that showed up in my life and rained down on everything I thought I had, and I only had him to hold on to. He was the only reason why I was able to make it through. As the rain came and the wind blew, there was nothing left that I could do but just hold on to Christ, hold on to his name, and believe that he wasn't going to fail. And he pulled me on through. I'm standing upright, 10 toes down, because he pulled me on through. I'm standing here before you only because he pulled me on through. I don't look like what I've been through. I think I look all right up here, Pastor. I don't look like what I've been through, but I'm telling you, I thought I wasn't going to make it through that one right there. And he pulled me on through. That song means a whole lot to me. Thank you, praise team. You have set a beautiful atmosphere in here for us on this evening. God is pleased in this place. Thank you, family and friends. You may have your seats on this evening. It's so good to see all of y'all up in here, family, friends, loved ones. Some of you I know, some of you I'm meeting for the first time. I plan to say hello to each and every last one of you. But welcome to Sunrise Christian Fellowship, where we stand on the belief that joy comes in the morning. Whatever you find yourself in, just hold on until the morning time. Joy is coming for you in the morning. And so I appreciate all of you being with us on this afternoon. I am Pastor Keith Calhoun. We'd like to thank you for joining us in our Black History celebration. It looks good in here. It is February. Contrary to what anybody else may be saying in the media, it's still Black History. We are celebrating Black History in here. We give honor and we give some reverence to the Black Americans that have come forth in this country and that have made things better for us, made things better for everyone else. We are the fabric. I like to say we are the absolute heart of this country. As long as we here in pumping, we're going to be all right, y'all. We're going to be all right. And so I thank you all for joining us in your African garb and in your Black history and everything that you have going on. I'm excited about what I got to give y'all tonight. I'm excited about what I got to give y'all on tonight. I need y'all to lock in, get ready, buckle your seatbelts, get you some water, do whatever you got to do, because we're going somewhere on tonight. We are in our series where we're talking about holiness. We're trying to make some disciples. We don't need more church members. We don't need more people that's got a little scripture in their bio on social media. We need some disciples. This country needs some disciples. The kingdom needs some disciples. And so we have been charged by God to make some disciples. And so one of the things a disciple must have is holiness. And so we're going to continue and finish this thing out talking about holiness on tonight. We're going to go on over to Ephesians. I don't want to delay because I got quite a bit to get to, and I hope God lets me get to all of it. We're going to see what we're going to do, but we're going to get to work. We're going to Ephesians chapter 5. We're going to verse 21 through 33 in the New Living Translation. It is our custom here that if God is giving you the strength to stand on your ones and twos, your left and your right, that you go ahead and do so. I'm going to read it for you because I just want to hurry up and get to what we're going to get to on today. But y'all stay with me, follow with me. This is Paul speaking, and he's speaking about marriage. And so Paul says on verse 21, and further, submit to one another out of reverence for Christ. For wives, this means for you to submit to your husband as the Lord. For a husband is the head of his wife, as Christ is the head of the church. I don't write this stuff. I just preach it, teach it, and believe it. I understand why you say that now. I just preach it, teach it, and believe it. He is the Savior of his body, the church. As the church submits to Christ, so you wives should submit to your husbands in everything. For husbands, we ain't leaving the fellas out of this. For husbands, this means love your wives just as Christ loved the church. He gave up his life for her, and to make her holy and clean, washed by the cleansing of God's word. He did this to present her to himself as a glorious church without a spot or wrinkle or any other blemish. Instead, she will be holy and without fault. Verse 28. In the same way, husbands ought to love their wives as they love their own bodies. For a man who loves his wife actually shows love for himself. No one hates his own body, but feeds and cares for it, just as Christ cares for the church. And we are members of his body. As the scripture says, a man leaves his father and mother and is joined to his wife, and the two are united into one. This is a great mystery, but it is an illustration of the way Christ and the church are one. So again, I say, each man must love his wife as he loves himself, and the wife must respect her husband. You may have your seats on tonight. Let me do a quick little survey because we got family and friends in the house. Any married folk in here? Any folk that's married? We got some folks in here that's married. We got some married people in here. Good, good, good. I'm not by myself. I'm not alone in this on this afternoon. Our congregation is mostly young adults, and so some of y'all have not quite made it to that point. I need y'all to stay with me. I need y'all to lock in. I need y'all to grab a hold of this, because as married folk will tell you, some of this stuff I'm going to tell you tonight, I wish somebody had told me. I wish somebody had prepared me. It makes no sense that we tell y'all to get married and we don't teach you nothing about how to stay married and how to do marriage. So if that is on your agenda to do, pay attention on tonight. Pull your notebooks out on tonight. Get your phone out and get into your notes section, because tonight we're going to be talking about holy matrimony, part 2. Part 2. And I know all of you that have been with us over here at Sunrise are saying, how did we get to part 2? We didn't get part 1. Pastor Sharonda gave us part 1 over at and Eliante, she gave us part 1. Go back on their YouTube page, go back on their Facebook page at New Antioch Eliante and get everything that she gave you in part 1. What she gave you was a mouthful. What I'm going to give you is a mouthful, and it's still probably only going to get you about through year 4 or 5. So you need all of this. We're not going to cover every single face in here. But I need y'all to know, before I get rolling and get started, we are on the same team. We in this together. We on the same team. We together in this. All right, we are all on the same team. I am married, and I know for many of you in this place, I look young. Usually I'm one of the older people in the congregation, but we got family and friends, and I look a little young. But when I was asked to talk about this, I got excited because I really do love marriage. But let me give you my qualifications. I have been with the same woman for 18 years, 7 months, and 18 days. With the same woman, if you want to know who my good thing is, she's back there with the red hair. I've been with her for 18 years, 7 months, and 18 days. We've been married for 10, but BJ, I want all my time. I've been here for 18 years, 7 months, and 18 days. Because, and let me go ahead and put this on the table too. I ain't missed a day, Z. I ain't missed a day. I got perfect attendance in this relationship. I ain't missed not a single day. I have not had a single excuse absent. I ain't had no breaks. We ain't getting no breakup to makeup. I ain't had no hall passes, no PTO, no parole, no vacation, no probation. I've been here for 18 years, 7 months, and 18 days. My relationship is full grown. It can vote if it was a person. It can go to war if we were still doing that. My relationship is in college at this particular point. But I need y'all to understand, I love marriage. Yeah. I love being married. I love being with this woman. I love having her in my life. I tell everybody that wants to hear about it, outside of Jesus, it was the best decision I ever made in my life. I remember when she moved in, my family and my friends started asking, what is it like with her living? How y'all doing over there? I say, listen, I was good. I had everything together. I had my stuff laid up. I had a couch and TV and everything like that. That girl moved in and everything got better. We got hand towels. We got decorations. We got all kinds of meals popping off in this place. Things started to smell a little better. My towel started to look a little better. The organization started. A lot of stuff came off of my back that I didn't have to take care of anymore. I love being married. She is my best friend. She is the person I have my inside jokes with. She is the person I want to see. She is who I'm trying trying to make it back to all the time. Wherever I am, she is more than welcome to be right alongside with me. Ain't no place she can't be, and ain't nothing that she can't be a part of. I absolutely love her, and we are on the same team. When she wins, I win. When I win, she wins. When she loses, we lose. We are on the same team. We are doing this whole thing together, and we are doing this thing till death do us part. We took our time, Tasia, 8 years before we got in front of that altar with Pastor Parson and said, I do and I don't, because we wanted to make sure that we was ready, that we were secure. We weighed this thing out. It was a serious decision. We took it serious because we saw our parents take it serious. We were serious about what we were doing. We were entering into something that was bigger than merely just living together. It was bigger than just sharing our last names and having little nice fancy rings on there and calling each other wifey and stuff like that. It was bigger than all of that. This was holy matrimony.
Yes.
Holy.
And at the time, we may not have fully understood what that whole thing really means. But let's break it down. Once again, y'all should know by now what this means. Holy means sacred. It means consecrated. It means set aside. It means something that is honorable unto God. It's something that you keep away from the world and everybody else. And it is only allowed to be utilized and operated by God. Matrimony is another word for marriage. It means a little bit more formal, but it's a sacred covenant with each other and God. I want y'all to get this. This is a God-ordained idea. This is something God came up with. It is a three-corded strand in this. You, your spouse, and God. Let me say this the right way. Man, woman, and God. Man, woman, and God. It is a three-corded strand that you are a part of that is interwoven. It's his program. It's his idea. And it is supposed to be done the way he wants it to be done. It started back in Genesis. He said it was not good for Adam to be by himself. So he gave him somebody, and those two flesh became one with God. It is something that he came along with. It is serious, it is heavy, and it is until death.
Yes.
And I was determined to make it look good. I was determined to make it be something that people wanted it to be. I heard what other folks were saying about marriage. I don't even think I'm going to get married. I don't understand what the big deal is about marriage. I wanted our marriage to look good. I wanted to look good as a husband and make my wife look good, especially as a black man. I really wanted to be an example and defy the odds and show some folks that marriage is a good thing. Marriage is a holy thing. Marriage is a strong thing. Marriage is something that you can do almost anything in. God is blessed marriage, and I wanted to make sure that I made it look good. I wanted to please God in my marriage. I wanted to make God look good because I was married. I wanted to do all of these things. Is that what you have on your agenda, those of you that are married? Do you want to make your marriage look good? Is it your objective to make God look good in your marriage? Those of you that are single but have said that you gave your life to God, does your walk with God make God look good? Do people want what you have? Do they want to find out about Jesus because of how you're moving and grooving? Does people want to say, do people come up to you and ask and say, hey, does your husband have a brother? Hey, does your wife have a sister? Because I need something like what y'all got going on. If I can get something like what you got going on, does your marriage, don't look to your wife, don't look to your husband, ask yourself. Do I look good? Do I make this thing look good? Is my marriage looking good? Does it look good? Because in this country, we got a problem. 41% of first-time marriages end in divorce. And that's an improvement. That's an improvement.
Right.
They used to say half of all marriages end in divorce. We done made it down to 41%. It's an improvement, but 41% of all first-time marriages end in divorce. We're not even going to talk about second and thirds because those numbers get astronomically high. The CDC says there's something that happens when you get to the 40s. You hit this rough patch when you get to the 40s. Folks that get married in their 20s hold on. It goes up a little bit in your 30s, but they're 40s. They call it the frustrating 40s. Something happens in the 40s where people just start to quit, lack commitment, and give it all up and throw it in. And they give it up. And now the people are starting to take notice. Millennials are delaying getting married. Gen Zers are pretty much putting marriage off completely, saying they don't see the point in even getting married. Ask somebody that's 21, 22, do they want to get married? They might tell you, what is the point of getting married? I don't see the point of getting married. I don't know why anybody would want to get married. It's because of the fact that they are flat out moving away from marriage, but they are not doing marriage things. They still living together. They still creating babies. They still having children. They all right with stepfathers and stepmothers and going half on a baby and just co-parenting. That seems normal and all right with them. They're all right with this broken home situation, and it's because they're looking at the marriage in this country and saying it don't really look good. And for those of us that are married, that's on us. Yeah. That's on us. We have to wear that. We have to be all right with that because we may not be making this thing look good to them. And the reason probably why is because we have not kept it holy.
That's good.
Right.
Marriage is a God idea. It's his plan. It's his program. We don't get to reconstruct the structure of what he set and how he set it up. Right. The issue that we have in this country and in other places is we treat our marriage like a menu. We treat it like when we go to the restaurant. We sit down and we tell them and we say, look, I don't want this on here, but I want to keep this. We look at what God said and how marriage is supposed to go and say, I like this part, what you said, Lord. I don't really like this part over here, so I'm not going to do that part. We treat it like it's something that is a substitution at Subway or a substitution at In-N-Out, that we can take things on and off and do it this, but that's not keeping it holy. And the numbers and God are showing you it's not working. Doing it halfway, doing the parts that only you like is resulting in a 40 to 50% divorce rate. It's not working, y'all. And people are looking at your marriage. Yes. And we're treating it like we're Charles Barkley. Charles Barkley used to be in the NBA, and he would get in trouble. He'd be fighting, and he'd be cussing, and doing all this stuff. And somebody asked him, they say, Charles, what about the children that look at you and say you're a role model? Charles said, I didn't ask to be a role model. I ain't nobody's role model. Well, guess what? You are. If you're married, you're a role model. If you're trying to figure out why your nieces and your nephews and your son, why you won't marry that girl? What's taking you so long? Why you just keep dating around? It could be because they watched how your marriage went and they said, I don't want no parts of that. Are we making this thing look good? Are we? You can't pick and choose which parts of the matrimony and which parts of the vows that you're going to actually adhere to. What did you agree to, married folk? Right. Do you remember what you agreed to? Yeah. Did you truly listen to the terms and agreements that you promised to uphold? Or was you standing at that altar and she was just so beautiful and you just had tears in your eyes and you just couldn't keep it together because she just looked so good? Or maybe your mind was already at the honeymoon. I can't wait to get up out of here because, girl, when we get to that room, maybe that's where your mind was. Maybe as the woman, you was kind of concerned because the cake wasn't looking the way that you wanted to. Or if it was something like our actual wedding, maybe you was concerned because somebody passed out while the service was going on. I don't know what your mind might have been on at the particular time when you got married and that priest and that preacher was up there going over the terms and agreements that you agreed to. But young people that are not married, I'm going to give you some inside tips. This is what you're agreeing to. Listen closely, because this is what you are agreeing to. You vowed, you said that you were going to live with tender consideration for each other. You said that you were going to conduct your lives in honesty and in truth. And God said that if you did this, your marriage would last and that your marriage would be blessed. We in this together. Don't y'all come for me. Fellas, y'all listening? I'm going to talk to y'all. Fellas, on that day, you promised before God and all those other witnesses that was there before you with your fresh haircut and everything else that you had going on, suited and booted with all your fellas on the side of you and everything that you got going on right there with you. You promised on that day that you would love her, that you would comfort her, that you would honor her, that you would keep her, that you would love her, comfort her, honor her, and keep her, forsaking all others for her alone. That means there ain't no more side piece. There ain't no more sneaky links. There ain't no more side chicks. There ain't nobody that comes before her. She is first and foremost in your life. She is the one that comes first before everything else. It says you will perform unto her all the respect that a husband owes his wife. Meaning you ain't out there talking bad about her. You ain't out there looking all crazy because you have shows how you respect your wife. You're not being all nice and flirting and all these other things with other people because you said that you were going to respect her. How long do you agree to these terms and agreements? You said you would do this until God, by death, separates you. My married fellas in the house, if your heart is still beating and that ring is still on, you are still under this contract. That's what you said that you were going to do. You promised. Ladies, don't look like that, Tasia. Ladies, you said and you promised with that sculpture fountain hair updo that you had at the time, with your bridesmaids that had those white gloves that went all the way up to the elbows, and the ruffles and all of that stuff that you had going on. You promised before God and the witnesses, your mom and daddy them, you promised that on that day you would love him, you would comfort him, you would honor him, and obey him. Forsaking all others. Forsaking all others for him alone. And you said that you would perform unto him all of the duties that a wife owes her husband. All of the duties that a wife owes a husband. And you signed this contract for how long? You said until God by death comes and separates you. That's what you promised. That's what you said. That's what you said you was going to do. Y'all look forward. Don't look at your spouse. I'm not getting nobody in trouble. Y'all look forward. Then both of you said that from that day forward, for better or for worse. Let me pause right here. Because, Pastor, I honestly think we need to change that. The for better or for worse. I don't think or should be in there. I think and should be in there. Because from my experience, both of them are coming. Both of them are going to show up. More than likely, you're going to get both of them. Both of these things are going to show up in your marriage for better and for worse, for richer and for poorer, for sickness and in health. You're going to have good days and you're going to have bad days. Y'all going to have money. Y'all going to buy things you never thought you were going to buy. You're going to go places you never thought you was going to go. And you're going to be broke. You're going to get some cars that's going to be repoed. You're going to make some conversations with some people that you owe money. You're going to get on some payment plans. Some people are going to be healthy. Things are going to be looking good. You're going to be vibrant, upright, and everything works. And other days, you're going to be broke down, toe down, and can't even do nothing whatsoever. Both of these things are coming for your marriage. And you said that you were going to stay with one another till death. That was the pledge that you gave of faith. Those of you that are not married, I want y'all to catch something. These vows highlight something that married people don't tell y'all about. And all of us that are married knows that this has come for us and this is showing up for us. Once you get a length of time, you know that this part of it is true. Understand, young people, those of you that are not married, hear me right now. This is the thing that those vows highlight. You are not marrying the person that is standing in front of you. That's not who you're marrying. These vows are letting you know you are agreeing to be with the person that they are going to become. You're going to marry the person that they are going to become. You fell in love and you bought the deal off of what they look like right now. But you're saying, I'm going to stay with you no matter what it is that you become later on. And I understand that sometimes this stuff goes a little different. I know that it's not the same person that you fell in love with. I know that they don't act the same and they don't look the same and they don't feel the same and they don't talk the same and they don't move the same and they don't groove the same and they don't swoon you the same. I know that sometimes when they said I do, they had hair. Now he don't. I know that when she said, listen, stuff is going to change. Stuff is going to change. Stuff is getting ready to change. And he's letting you know this ahead of time. God don't hide nothing from us. He let you know ahead of time. Listen, you said you were going to stay. You said it to me. You said it to them. This is serious. This is heavy. This is a holy agreement that you're going into. And I need you to realize you're going to need God in order to keep them. in order to stay in this thing. You're going to need God in order to be able to make this happen. But the good news is God said, what I joined together, let no man put under. Ain't nobody on this earth got what it takes to take and tear apart what I said is going to be good, as long as you remember we are on the same team. What tends to happen is that in a marriage, you end up getting in close with one another. And on any sports team, what ends up happening that's really interesting is that a good coach knows how to make competition a thing in order to get the best out of his players. The starters go against the backup, and y'all scrimmage and everything like that. And what happens is, in that course of all that practicing, things can get a little contentious. Why? Because you're able to see what they're good at and also able to point out what they're not good at. You're able to expose the stuff that they don't do all that well. And y'all are battling with one another, going at one another, and you forget the fact that it was supposed to be to sharpen each other so that when you get into the real game, when you come against the real enemy that's coming against your real team, you are ready for battle. But what happens is we get so mad in that in-house situation and all those scrimmages, you telling me what I did wrong. You only highlight what you did right. You minimize what you did wrong. So I'm going to keep scoring what I did right and minimize what you got wrong. And y'all both itching to go ahead and bring out your sheets of all the rights and wrongs that y'all judge me. Y'all keeping score with one another. And then by the time you actually get outside of your house, and the enemy really does show up for you, you ain't in no shape to fight off nothing. And you don't even have a teammate that has your back anymore. That's good. We're on the same team. If you win, I win. If you do well, I do well. Understand, you're not going to be the MVP all the time. Fellas, sometimes you got to let her cook. If she's better with the finances and she's better with the money, let her cook. It's her night. Give her the ball. Let her go to work. If that's what she's good at doing the finances and all that. I understand if you're the man, you want to know about what everything with the money is. But if your wife is better at the money than you, give her the ball. Let her cook. Ladies, give him the ball and let him cook. He might be better with them kids. I know that's normally the woman's job, but he just got a better heart for them. He knows what he's doing with them. He knows how to keep them right and keep them straight. Don't feel insecure about it. Y'all on the same team. Give him the ball. Yeah. As long as we win, what do we care? Yeah, that's good. We're on the same team. If it's your goal to make marriage look good, if it's your desire to please the Lord, if your goal is to do this thing in the holy way that God has called for us to do, then we have to remember we're on the same team, which means that we both have to submit. Both of us have to submit. Both of you have to submit. Those of you that are single, submission is something you need to get used to if you're going to follow God. You better get used to that right now. Submission means cooperating voluntarily out of love and respect for God and that person. We're just asking for you to cooperate voluntarily out of love and respect for God and that person. That's why I put them both in there, because sometimes you are so upset with that person, you got to imagine that that's God that's looking at you. You got to imagine Jesus is on that face, because sometimes you're going to have to do it unto God because you don't have it in you to do it unto them. But the point of it is Paul tells us that we have to submit to one another out of reverence for Christ. Ladies, this means you're supposed to submit to your husband as the Lord. For a husband is the head of the house. He's the head of the wife, as Christ is the head of the church. Jesus and God does not see him as better than you. He sees you guys on side by side. He values you just the same. But he has given him a God-ordained position for him to lead. And it is your job that God is telling you to do, is to allow him to do that. Paul says in 1 Peter, if you accept your husband's authority, even unbelievers will look at your godly lives and will be won over without you even having to speak to them. If you're the way that you operate, ladies, in your marriage, those folks that went down to the courthouse said they don't want nothing to do with God, they don't believe in God whatsoever, but they wanted to get married, is having issues in their marriage, and they're looking at you and saying, girl, you listen to your husband all the time, you follow what he tells you to do. I can't do all that because I need to have some say-so, and he don't be knowing this, that, and the third. And you start letting them know, I love my husband. He is the leader of this household. I trust him and where he goes. I believe in what he's got going on. I want him to be all right. I make sure that I cover him. When he makes mistakes, it's my job to make sure don't nobody even know he made no mistake. I done covered him on the front, back, side, and any other way that you're looking at. When you see him out here moving and grooving, that is your identity. That's your handiwork. When everybody's like, man, I need a husband like you, that's because of you. When he wins, you win. When we win, God wins. All of us are making him look good. And other people will be confounded by this and say, I don't know how this is working. And you kind of have to let them know it's a God thing. You are trying to operate in a God thing. Without God, it's not going to work. Paul further says, he says, don't be concerned with your outward beauty, jewelry, and clothes. Let me go on record. Pastor Keith is not saying let yourself go. I did not say that. That's not what he's talking about. Make sure that you're not busted and disgusted and ashy. Because if you look terrible out there, he looks terrible. If you lose, we lose. If you look, let me help y'all out with something. One of the biggest flexes you can have as a husband is when your wife step out and everybody's like, girl, you look good. Your hair look good. Your skin is glowing. As a man, you know that's because I've been doing some stuff right. She's happy. She's got a smile on her face because I've been doing some stuff right. It's a flex that you have as a husband for your wife to look good when she's out and about. But he's saying don't put that above clothing yourself with the beauty that comes from within of an unfading and gentle and quiet spirit. The quiet part. I got y'all back. Don't y'all. I got y'all back. The quiet part don't mean you don't have no say-so.
Correct.
The quiet part, you have say-so. The quiet part means that you are agreeable. You don't have an argumentative spirit about everything. Just because he said it, you going against it because he don't know nothing. And he don't know what he's doing. And he messed this up last time. You have an agreeable spirit. For those of you that are walking with God by yourself, you better find yourself getting into an agreeable spirit before he makes you agreeable under his own authority. I'm saying he's telling you to have a spirit that's agreeable, willfully to cooperate.
Yeah.
He says that is precious to God. Again, I don't write this stuff. I just teach it. I just preach it. I just believe it. And I just follow what it says. And if it's your goal to make marriage look good, if it's your desire to please the Lord, if you want to keep this thing holy, then you don't get to pick and choose wives when you submit.
Right.
Yeah.
It doesn't work that way. He says this is how holy women. Matter of fact, hold on. Let me do this part too. Wives, if you believe that your husband is a God-fearing man and y'all are not in agreement, just maybe he might have some discernment too.
Yeah.
Discernment is not a female-only trait. I don't know why we kind of feel like discernment is something only that women have. Maybe it's that women's intuition thing that they say in the world. But do you know that a man can hear from God too? That God can tell a man some stuff too? That God can let a man know that something's coming and not give it over to you? He didn't say nothing to you. Well, I didn't hear God say that. But he heard God say that because he's leading. Men have discernment too.
All right.
They hear from God too. All of this stuff happens at the same thing. And those of you who are single, you have the same level of reverence and obedience unto God in your singleness. He says this is how holy women of old made themselves beautiful. They put their trust in God and accepted the authority of their husbands. Wives, I'm off your case. Fellas, the Bible tells you to submit to your wife. She's not the only one that has to submit. You got to do some submitting too, onto her. This means that you're supposed to love this woman with all that you have inside of you, like Christ loved the church. This is the crazy thing. God tells the woman that she has to submit, and he tells the man that you have to die.
Wow.
She got to submit. You got to die. You have to die for her. You have to die. Your ego's got to die for her. Your arrogance has to die for her. Your selfishness has to die for her. You have to see her just like you do yourself. It ain't my way or the highway anymore. You got to give some of that stuff up. You are called to care for her like you do your own body. When you hungry, the first thing come to your mind should be, baby, are you hungry? If you uncomfortable, baby, you uncomfortable? Now, are you hot? I'm hot. You tired? I'm tired. You should be checking with her every step of the way of everything that you got going on because you treat her like it's your own body. You are called to love her this way. If you don't honor her, respect her, love her, and give her understanding, understanding. Fellas, let me give you a jewel. Let me help y'all out. Those of y'all that ain't married yet, let me help you out. This is what you do. Monty, good to see you. Take this. Put this in your pocket. When Joy comes in there and she's tripping and she's just unloading and she's just going off about something, pause her for a second and say, Joy, can I ask you something? Do you want my advice? Do you want me to help? Or do you just want me to listen?
That's good.
Ask her which one she really wants. Because the crazy thing about it is sometimes all they want is some understanding. They just want you to sit and listen and say, that sounds hard. Thank you. It was hard. That sounds difficult. Thank you. It was difficult. You know what? I don't think I like Proverbs. Thank you. I can't stand Proverbs either. I see it. Thank you. It'll save you a whole lot of headaches trying to fix something she don't want you to fix. Sometimes she just wants some understanding. They got a whole 90 song about it. And sometimes they just need you to understand. And the Bible says that if you can't give her that honor, respect, love, and understanding, he says that your prayers will be hindered.
Yeah.
You're trying to figure out why things ain't happening. You're trying to figure out why the money's not coming in. You're trying to figure out why things are not clicking the way they're supposed to be clicking. Maybe you might want to go back to your husbandly duties and make sure that you're doing everything that God has called of you. Because he said, listen, if you got a problem with your brother or your sister, you need to go fix that before you come to me. How do you think he feels about your wife?
Right. Come on.
And you got to lay down and close your eyes next to this woman.
Right.
It's a lot of trust. It's a lot of trust. It's a lot of trust. This will go easier for you, fellas. 18 years, 7 months, 18 days. This will go easier for you if you learn how to submit to God first. Submission will come a lot easier when you submit to him first. You'll get some practice. That muscle will start to build where you can hold your tongue a little bit and say, all right, let's try it your way. It'll make it a lot easier for you. I promise you it will. But I got to pause for one more thing for the fellas on this one, because we forgot something and we messed something up. And I'm noticing this is a problem we have. Most men understand what is your job as a man and as a husband. You're supposed to do what two things?
Provide,
Anybody? Protect. What's the other one? Provide. What else? Protect and provide. Your job is to get up and go out. They should see you going out doing something to make the money. That's provision. You are called to do that. They should know that you got some handiness to you, or you're doing things to keep the family safe. That's protection. But we missed another P that's supposed to go along with this. It's protection, provision, and priesthood. You are also called to be the priest of your house. You are called to be the spiritual leader of your house. You're supposed to be the strong man in the spirit and in the flesh in your house. Your kids should be able to come to you and ask you biblical questions and get an answer. Your wife should be able to come to you and have you pray for her and believe that you have the ability to get the ear of God. It is a part of what we've lost this somehow and made the priesthood somehow the woman's responsibility. That's not what God ordained. Protection, provision, and priesthood. Give them something to follow. Lead your house through your commitment, obedience, and your faith unto God. Fellas, stop hiding your walk with God from your people that you love. Let them see you do what you do with God. Don't do God in private. Don't pray with God in private. Don't only do it in your closet. Don't only do it in the car. They need to see you doing this. They need to see that God is in your life and that you're leading him by hearing from him. They need to see you. Let them see you pray. Let them see you worship. Let them see you praise. Let them see you give some thanksgiving. Share with your wife what God said to you in prayer. Tell them what you're praying about. Tell them what he told you. Share this stuff with them. They need to know they'll be a lot more likely to submit to you if they can see that you are submitting unto God. And it'll keep you from doing dumb stuff that the world tells you, like happy wife, happy life. That's stupid. That's dumb. That don't work. It ain't biblical. I went looking for it. It's not in there, ladies. Stop saying that. Happy wife, happy life. That's some stuff that the world came up with. God told me to fix this in y'all on today. That is not how this is supposed to go. Happy wife, happy life is not it. First off, we got the wrong word in the wrong spot. Happy needs to be moved. happy life. It's holy life, happy wife. If you're living a holy life, your wife is going to be happy. God is going to bless you, so she's going to be happy. Provision is going to be there. She's going to be happy. He's going to tell you what's wrong with her before she starts tripping. She's going to be happy. He's going to let you know that she just needs to eat, or she just needs to be loved, or she just needs to be cared for, and you ain't even got to say nothing about it. She's going to be happy. If you live a holy life, your wife is going to be happy. If you do it the other way around, ask Abraham about what happened when he listened to his wife above what God gave him instructions for. That man lost his son. Listening to her above what God said. It's not that, fellas. It's holy life gives you a happy wife. God's will is that this union that we are making is strong enough to bring you through all temptation, indifference, adversity, discord, and a love that has grown cold. Because all of that is coming for your marriage. Those of you that are single, all of that is coming for your walk with God. Temptation is coming. Indifference is coming, adversity is coming, discord is coming, and sometimes your love just ain't as hot as it once was, and your love can grow cold. It's a three-quarter strand situation that you have with you, God, and your wife. You're doing things with God, and it's interweaving. God is doing things with your wife, and it's interweaving. Y'all are doing things with each other, and it's interweaving. And these things are very difficult to break apart. Where'd Kat go? She left? That's okay. Come here, Mark. Come here, Zari. I'm not setting nothing up. Y'all all right. Y'all all right. I'm not playing matchmaking. You're single. And you get in close with God. And you tight with God. And you're single. And you get in close with God. And you're tight with God. And then somehow y'all meet. And hopefully, God has ordained. Hopefully, y'all ain't get married without asking God about if y'all supposed to be together. But if you did, we here now. It's all right. Y'all meet. And God says, it's all right. I approve of this union together. And so the two of you come together. And y'all lock arms. And we're in this three-quarter thing like this. Now, y'all can't technically see it, but we got a triangle going on here. Y'all are connected to God, and you're connected to each other. And this is important because the structure of a triangle, which most people don't understand, a triangle is actually the strongest shape that is in all of geometry. There is no other strength. Y'all stay right here. There's no other shape that is stronger than a triangle. That's why if you ever look at a house, it comes to a point at the top of the house. If you ever want to know why houses are like that at a point, if you get up in the attic, I'm with you. If you get up in the attic, they got these wooden beams up there, and what do they call them? They call them a truss. They call them a truss. It's a triangular beam that stays together, that holds the roof up. Because the way that a triangle is made and the way that it's structured, it's made to distribute the pressure across all the sides, no matter where the force comes in at. No matter where the force is putting some force on, the way it's actually structured and made, it's made to be able to distribute all of that force and not lose its shape. That means when the bills came and it was pushing on Mark,
Come on now.
he can come in and put some of that pressure on his wife.
Yeah.
And he can come in and put some of that pressure on God. And she can put some of that pressure on God. And so now it's not his responsibility to figure out everything that's going on. She's praying about the finances. She's trying to figure out how we're going to cut the bills. She's looking for things that they can do to lower it. It's shared upon all this. And we don't lose our form. We don't lose our love. We don't lose our connection. We don't lose what we look like when we first got started because we're sharing the load. When the kids come in and they start pushing on her and it's too much, he sees it's too much for her. So he grabs them kids, takes them out for pizza, gives her some time off, sends her to get herself together, sends her to get a little bit, and he's praying for these kids. She's praying for these kids. They're holding this weight all together.
This is really good.
What I don't understand, though, is when you ask some folks, and you say, and they're saying they got marital problems, and you ask them, you say, well, how are things going with you and God? And they say, oh, me and God are good. Me and God are fine. I'm just going to do me and protect my peace. I'm just going to go over here and just me and God, and he going to have to figure out everything else to deal with him because I'm not saying nothing else. I'm not doing nothing else. I'm not doing this and the third. I'm trying to understand how your relationship with God is hot,
Right.
but your marriage is cold.
That's good.
I'm trying to understand how your prayer room is hot, but your marriage bed is cold. I don't understand how that works. Because God has already told you, if you're going to come in closer to me, you can't get all the way up in here and closer to me, and you haven't figured out what's going on with him, and you haven't figured out what's happening with him. God is saying, you got to figure this thing out. Y'all have to come and submit unto one another. It doesn't make any sense, but what tends to happen sometimes is when y'all split like they have, and you're on opposite sides.
Yeah.
One person starts moving further and further away.
What happens?
And this world over here is saying everything they're talking about. Well, God said this and God said that and whatnot. And you're over here just pulling further away from God. You're pulling further away from them. And what happens is God says a tragedy begins to happen. You find yourself alone in a marriage.
Yeah.
God said that's an absolute tragedy for you to be alone in a marriage, alone in a family, alone in a friendship, alone in life. God said that's an absolute tragedy. That's something that I call to stay together, that I constructed in such a way, that I built in such a way that it's able to withstand anything that comes up against it in life and be able to move that all across. And when y'all don't even know what you're supposed to do and don't know where you're supposed to go, it's all right. I'll take you wherever y'all need to go. Y'all just stay with me and I'll carry you wherever it is that we're supposed to go. I got your back when y'all don't know what's happening. Hold on to her and hold on to me, and I'll take you wherever it is you're supposed to go. Thank you. It doesn't make any sense to me. We got to get back engaged. We got to get back together. We got to find our way to stay submitted like God told us to. And so, as I'm closing, what I want you to do, if you're asking, how do I maintain this? We're doing the submission. We're submitting unto one another. We're not keeping score. We wipe the slate clean. We're figuring out how we're going to get ourselves back together. And we're coming back into agreement with one another. We're hearing what God is saying about this person or that person and whatnot. How do I keep it this way? How do I maintain it this way? You have to get fat. And you got to stay fat.
Yeah. Yeah.
When young men get married, it's an ongoing joke that after you get married, you start putting on weight. And everybody say, you're eating good. You're getting regular meals. She treating you good over there. You look happy. What they mean is you look fat. That's what the old people do. You look happy. They calling you fat. That's what they saying. You look fat. You look happy up there. You look happy. God is telling us, listen, if you're going to maintain this thing, if you want it to look good, you want God to look good, you're going to have to be fat in your marriage. You're going to have to stay fat, continue to be fat, faithful, available, and teachable every day, in season, out of season, faithful, available, teachable, again, faithful, available, and teachable, faithful to your marriage.
Yeah.
That means that you're doing what you said you're going to do. If she's nagging you all the time, guess what? It's been 3 weeks. You told her you was going to do it 3 weeks ago. She has every right to nag at you because you have not completed. You're not keeping your word unto what you said that you was going to do. Be faithful in this thing that God has called you to. Keep your word. Do what you said you were going to do. Not picking and choosing what parts of it you want to do. Let me go ahead and help you fix something else. You want to be faithful to your marriage. That means you don't have a work wife. That means you don't have a work husband. That's not a thing. I don't know where we got that from. That's not a thing. There ain't no other. God, you said forsaking all others. There ain't no work wife or work husband. Listen, because not everybody is on your team. She's on your team at work. That don't mean she's on your team in your marriage. Same thing with your family. Your mama was on your team, sis, and your family, but God said you leave your mother, you leave your father, and you cleave to your husband, and forsaking all others, and two become one. That means he has authority over here. He was on your team in the family. It don't mean that he on your team over here in your marriage. You're going to be faithful for these things. You need to protect these things. You need to set up barriers to make sure that you're protecting what you have going on.
Yes, yeah.
My wife thinks I'm crazy. Absolutely crazy. Because I've told her, it's anybody that's coming and flirting with me, talking with me, trying to get too close to me, I take my ego right out of it. I think I'm all right. I think I'm an okay looking guy. I think I have stuff to offer. That ain't why you're here. You're here for something else. You're an enemy of the state. I don't believe that I'm that fine. I don't believe that I'm that good. I don't believe that I have it that much going on. I don't believe none of that. You are an enemy of the state. I don't believe you, sis. And you need to go ahead and back on up, move on out the way. You set yourself up in a way to where you start putting barriers around. Go ahead and let them step on that mind. Ooh, you smell good. My wife bought that for me. She loves it, boy. Let me tell you. Oh, my God. Oh, how good this smell, man. You got to get you a woman there to go buy that for you. Girl, you look like you been working out. Yeah, my husband like me nice and tight. You know what I'm saying? We gonna work out together. He got me doing lunges. He got me eating. He got me. You start putting up these barriers, keeping people out of your business, keeping people away from it, so that you can stay faithful to your marriage. You got a gambling problem? Take the long way to work. Don't go down there by the cannery. You can't go down Lowson. Take the 15 all the way up to Lamb. Get off on Lamb. There ain't no stuff over there. You got a problem with spending too much money, ladies? Maybe you need to get on an allowance. Don't nobody need to know you're on an allowance in your marriage, but you and your husband, because you have a problem and you can't stay faithful to the budget. So let him give you an allowance so that way you don't have a spending problem. Faithful. Available. Be available in your marriage. Your person should be able to get in touch with you when they need to get in touch with you. Here we go again. 18 years, 7 months, 18 days.
18 days. Yeah.
My wife comes in all the time, and she likes to just start midway. I think she believes I'm in the car with her because she starts in the middle of the story as if I was there in the beginning of the story. And she comes right in as if before she got here, I wasn't doing something. Whatever it was I was doing didn't matter. She takes a quick assessment. He ain't doing nothing. Let me tell you what's happening. So this, and she just starts going. And so we came up with a rule. It's called the 10-minute rule. It works out beautifully. My wife is the number one person in my life. She can interrupt anything I have going on for 10 minutes. Everything can wait for 10 minutes.
That's good.
Everybody can wait for 10 minutes. The kids can wait for 10 minutes. Ministry can wait for 10 minutes. The game can wait for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Everything can wait at least for 10 minutes. So for 10 whole minutes, she'll come in and she'll say, I need 10 minutes. I put down what I'm doing and I am fully attentive. You have my undivided attention, sweetheart. What's going on? And for 10 whole minutes, I'm right there locked in the game. Monty, I do ask, do you want me to get my input or you want me to just listen? What we doing here? But I'm there for 10 whole minutes. And at 9 minutes and 59 seconds, when it hits 10 minutes, I am allowed to disengage in this conversation. I gave you 10 minutes. I gave you 10 minutes. Now, I can stay if I would like to, but without any recourse or without her getting upset with me, I'm allowed to back up out of that thing and go back to what I'm doing. It allows her to know that I am her emergency contact. Yeah. Stop ignoring their phone call when they call you because you call on them. They need to know that you're available. Be available unto them. Be in their space. Be close to them. Allow them to be in where you are available. And then you got to be teaching. Because I already told you they're going to change. This person is going to change. They're going to be somebody different. Allow yourself to be teachable. Find out what they got going on. Do you know your partner's spiritual gifts? Do you know what they're blessed to do? Do you know what God's got going on in their life? Do you know what they're into and what they're not into? Ladies, let me go ahead and give y'all a little bit of a tip. I know sometimes you want your husband to watch the shows you want to watch. You just wish that y'all could watch these shows together. And we're not interested in those shows whatsoever. I'm gonna give you a cheat code. This is how you do it. This is how this is done. I'm 18 years, 7 months and 18 days. You bring them in, and you say, "Sweetheart, you can be on your phone. I just want to be by you." And you turn on your little show, and you sit there and you watch your show, and give it time. And he gonna say, "What did they say?" gonna blow it up. Don't get too excited. Don't explain the whole plot. Don't tell them everything what's going on. Don't say you're gonna reset and go back to the beginning so y'all can watch it all again. Don't be too eager. Just answer the one question he gave you and leave it alone. And then the next night, when you're 3 episodes further along, well, I thought she said that she didn't like this, that, and the third. It's like, just answer the question. Don't give them the whole plot. I've watched Grey's Anatomy. I've watched, she tried to get me to do Gilmore Girl. I'm not doing that. She tries to get me to watch Bridgerton. I'm not, but I didn't watch all these shows. The other day I was watching Still Magnolias. It's a whole series. And was into it. Because I was trying to figure out, what do you love about this show? I need to know what's going on with you. I need to know what you into. I need to know what you like. I need to know what's happening with you. I'm being teachable. My wife learned football because I watched First Take so much. She was like, ain't the fat red dude right there? Ain't that, what's his name, Andy Reid? Did he used to coach this team? She started learning positions. Blew my mind, BJ. She knew what a cover 2 was. I said, you watching too much TV with me now. We're teachable to one another. We're close. I'm trying to learn everything about you. I need to know everything that's going on with you. What's going on with, how do you teach? Do I even know what do you need when you need to rest? I found this out that a lot of married people don't know how to rest together. They don't know how to rest together. Sometimes your husband or your wife don't want to talk to you because every time I talk to you, you ain't got nothing but more stuff for me to do. You want to talk about the kids. You want to talk about what's not done. You want to talk about what's fixed. Give it a rest. Just give it a rest for one day. Don't talk about none of that. Can we just sit and be? My parents used to go and lock the door in the middle of the daytime, and we was toddlers. We'd be knocking on the door like, we just want to know what they're doing. Why they in the room or whatnot? They wouldn't answer us. And if I knocked too many times, my dad said, get away from the door. And I would be like, what are you in there doing? And his response was always the same. We minding our business and leaving yours alone. Resting. Them kids will be all right. That stuff can get done tomorrow. All of this stuff can get done another time. You should be able to rest with your partner. Get fat in your marriage. Be fat in your marriage. Be big in your marriage. Expand in your marriage. Be large in your marriage. Be unmovable in your marriage. When I show up without my wife, they want to know where she's at. Why? Because she's big in our marriage. They know we are a package deal. When she does the same thing, they're looking where I am because they know we are a package deal. I'm big. I'm fat. I'm heavy in my marriage. When you see somebody that's big, you know that they're not easily moved. I am not an easy target for somebody that's trying to come in and break apart this marriage. I'm too heavy. I'm too fat. I'm too big in this thing. You can't just come in here and mess up my little thing. You can't tell me nothing about her. You can't give me a lie about what she said. I know her too well. We too fat together.
That's good.
Ain't no room for you up in here. We too big. We too heavy with one another. And so on today, I think what God wants us to do is he wants us to go ahead and make some vow renewals. I think we need to renew some vows in this place because what God put together, no man, no situation, no circumstance can put under. And so, fellas, if you are married, I want you to lead your wife up here. Bring your wife on up here. I want you to lead her to the front. Those of you that are single, but you have made a vow unto God, we're going to do some vow renewals on today. Because we needed to know that this is holy. This is something that makes God look good. This is something that makes us look good. This is something that is sacred. And this is something that God has called. So we're standing all over the house. If you're not married, you're making your vow renewal back unto God. Because we have to remember what we agreed to and what we said. And you can